Hey, it's me. It's animated me. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and it's time for another episode of Completed It. Movie reviews, pop culture, celebrity guests, and all that good stuff. Oh, and my good friend over there, Sasha Alari, as my co-host. Hey, Satch, hit the titles, brother. Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Completed It. And yes, I'm back. The hamster is running around the wheel again. My internet is all good, and I am here. This is another episode of Completed It. As you can see, I've got one of my co-hosts with me, Neil. How are you, sir? The other co-host who works on a
Mhm.
bank holiday Monday, for God's sake.
I am good, sir. I am good. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm good. Good to be back talking some Marvel. We're kind of on the home stretch now of our Marvel movies. We've got about
Yeah.
seven left after this, I think, something like that. We have made it to the Avengers Age of Ultron.
Mhm.
A movie that back when it come out in 2000 and where I don't know where my notes are, 2015, I want to say.
15.
Yep, 2015. There you go.
Mhm.
2015. A lot of hype around this movie. Obviously, big budget for this movie. A lot of people see this as the lesser Avengers movie. Before we
Mhm.
break it down, what do you think? We've mentioned many times when we do these Marvelous Mondays that Marvel just kept reaching a peak, reaching a peak,
Yeah.
reaching a peak, and it was like, wow, wow, this is incredible. There had to come a moment where it went, ah, is this the one? And we've mentioned getting to Age of Ultron before
Yeah.
on previous Marvelous Mondays and previous shows. What did you make of Age of Ultron before we break the movie down? I just want to get your thoughts of because we're leading into it. It's like,
Mhm.
man, everyone just assumes that Avengers movie is going to be great. I
Yeah.
rewatched it this morning. Me and you are actually recording this on a Monday. It's
Mhm.
bank holiday here in the UK for everyone watching outside of the UK. We've got the day
Yeah.
off, so I watched it at like 7 o'clock this morning. I thought, let me fresh in my mind.
Mhm.
It was an Avengers movie. Everyone's excited.
Mhm.
Rewatching it back, I
Yeah.
didn't actually hate it as much as when I originally watched it.
Mhm.
I was taking bits out of it, making my notes for the show. But what did you think? Because the hype around this movie when it come out, everyone just assumed, oh, it's the Avengers. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Do you know what? I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it then. I don't hate it now. I didn't have any like negative thoughts towards it. I think the only thing that got me was because of the way Avengers or Avengers Assembled ends with the tease of Thanos.
Hmm.
And if, like obviously we're very much into film, so we're always looking at like the dirt sheets and the trades and like, oh, they say this is gonna happen in this film and that's gonna happen in that film, and this person's been cast as this role. So it was going into it, I think my only thing of like, oh, but why was that it was gonna be Ultron and not Thanos.
Hmm.
Right? Because obviously Thanos gets teased at the end of the first Avengers film. But other than that, I was fine. The fact that they called it Age of Ultron, the comic book story, Age of Ultron, it's an amazing story. So I was like, oh my God, is that the story they're gonna do?
We're going with the Doctor because Doctor Hank created
Yeah, so Hank Pym.
Ultron in the comics, obviously Ant-Man
Yeah.
movie, which we're going to get to next week. But yeah, were you surprised that they didn't go down that route? Bearing in mind that Ant-Man was the next movie, because like you say, they teased Thanos,
Hmm.
then we didn't really get Thanos, and then they flipped it and gave us the Ultron story, which
Hmm.
kind of not jumbled things up. They found a not a living being, but they found
Artificial
yeah
intelligence.
artificial intelligence in Loki's scepter,
Yeah.
which they basically took out and then it got corrupt and went rogue, etc., etc. But did Marvel say, "Hang on a minute, we're not going to get to the Thanos part yet. We're going to tease it again, which we'll get to the end credit scene of
Hmm.
this." Should they have gone and waited for Ultron and gone true to the comics? We've said a lot of times you can't always go true to the
Yeah.
comics, otherwise we could have 1,000 movies if you went on everything with the
Hmm.
comics. Was it something that you think Marvel did well with this? Because a lot of people saying, what the fuck is Ultron?" A lot of people didn't know. And I remember
Yes. A lot of
watching it
people
then
don't know.
going, and everyone was just like, I remember a lot of people like Facebooking or messaging and speaking to you. I remember being at work at the time and everyone was like,
Mhm.
who the fuck is Ultron? And you're like, we read it, like, and a lot of people, yeah, we say this again, we say this all the time. A lot of people haven't read all the comics. They just
Yes.
purely
A
go
lot of
to see
people.
the movies. So a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't know that Dr. Hank created Ultron in the comics. It's part of Doctor Hank does it, and
Yeah,
obviously
so
everyone knows
Hank
him
Pym.
from
Yeah,
yeah
Dr. Hank Pym.
from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Did Marvel take a risk by doing this Ultron story here? Because it did confuse a fucking lot of people, let's be
I
honest.
think they didn't. Do you know what? I don't think it was a risk. I think it was a, well, technically, yes, it was a calculated risk. But I think when we really break it down, I think what you have to do is when it comes to adaptations, comic books, regular books, theater productions, whatever, right? Is you have to remember if you are the person who is like neck deep in your knowledge and the lore of what you're watching, you are the the 5 to 10% audience out of 100 that these people are looking at.
Hmm.
Whereas that, you know, 95 to 90% of people who they're the audience that they're trying to attract are not you. They're not the people who know every single thing about it. But also, I think it's Age of Ultron. Now, when I really think about it in hindsight, Age of Ultron is a, an actual testament to being able to pivot, because we'll get into it more with Seth.
Pivot mid-franchise as well.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of people don't know is that the original lineup for the Avengers, for the first Avengers movie, I believe that the Wasp was going to be in it.
Hmm.
It was going to be the Wasp. And if it was the Wasp, that would have led into, like, you know, the idea of like, oh, well, if this is the Wasp, who is the Wasp? What's her powers? And
Hmm.
leaning onto that, you can be like, oh, okay, so who's Hank Pym? And then if we turn around and we get to Age of Ultron, Hank Pym is the creator of Ultron.
Hmm. Would have made sense.
Whereas by removing her, by removing Wasp from the Avengers lineup, it then puts you in a position where, well, now you don't have that lead into that backstory, into that creation of Ultron. So now you got to use someone else to create Ultron.
Hmm.
And also, I think it was a thing of you needed the problem with the Avengers film, because you have this group of heroes, you need a million mindless enemies that they can just punch and kick. And who, like, you had the we had the Chitauri in Avengers Endgame. So I was like, okay, we're gonna go a different route. We need someone else. Oh, well, who can command this army of mindless beings that
Hmm.
you're not gonna get in trouble with, like, you know, the ratings boards if you have the Hulk smashing them to bits, or, you know, Captain America throwing a shield, or Thor smashing them in the head with a hammer. And we're like, okay, well, robots, you know, robots don't bleed. You can bang them on the head and they'll just, you know, it'll explode and it's a puff of smoke and it's all fine and dandy.
Mm.
Like, so Ultron's a perfect thing because Ultron makes Ultron bots and then, you
Tries
know,
to destroy the world.
yeah.
Yeah. This movie, like when you put it like that, it is quite a simple movie. It's
Mhm.
Ultron pretty much wants to destroy the world.
Yeah.
I the way that I see Marvel done this is like, let's give them a kick-ass movie where we get to see what you just said. We get to see
Mhm.
the Avengers kick-ass. But then you flip it, and when you're watching it again, like I did, what, an hour ago, I think it
Yeah.
finished. This was very much an introductory movie as well,
Yeah.
because they gave us Vision.
Hmm.
Ultimately, Ultron wanted to create a body for him to be in, which got stopped halfway through
Yep.
and ends up being Vision. Obviously, with the
Yeah.
stone, we all know the stone and etc. etc. Obviously, you got Scarlet Witch, etc. etc. In this, do you see this as more a here's the kick-ass side of the movie, which I kind of enjoyed actually when I was watching it back
Yeah.
this morning. And then when you're actually really thinking about it, you're like, they had to get these characters in here somehow.
Hmm.
This was how they done it. And when you think about it,
Hmm.
really clever because it didn't take too much. You kind of got a tease of the twins at the end of the previous movie, at the
Yeah.
end credit scene of not Assemble. It
The
was
soldier, was it?
Yes, Winter Soldier was when they were sitting in the what was kind of a prison, and
Yeah.
they teased the twins, and then obviously this is the first movie where we really see them, and
I
this is
actually
where we
see him.
see Vision
Hmm.
come to life,
Yeah.
and obviously then keeps the stone in his head, etc., etc.
Hmm.
We're going to get to that. Did you see this as kind of like a good way to introduce these new characters into the movie because they didn't just tease new characters.
Hmm.
Captain, we got the first ever glimpse at Captain America can lift Thor's hammer, which I
Hmm.
thought still to this day makes me chuckle when you
Yo,
see Thor sitting. Even I knew it was coming. I'm sitting there this morning chuckling away to myself, knowing
yeah,
it was coming. They teased obviously Captain America lifting Thor's hammer, and it's quite ironic when Vision just grabs it later and goes, "Here you go." It just
yeah.
picks it up, and they're arguing. Iron Man and Captain America having that little back and forwards with Thor at the end. "Oh, if you put
Hmm.
it in an elevator, technically someone's picked it up. But what did you make of it? Did you think good way to introduce these characters? Because at the end of the movie, they were said they you know they're tease more kind of what we saw with Thunderbolts, the hashtag
Yeah,
new Avengers. This was introducing what we now know as the
that's
quote
the
unquote
event. Yeah.
Avengers. Yeah. What did you think of the way they done it?
Um, in truth, I ain't gonna lie, I liked it. I
Okay.
didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
No, I didn't.
I
No.
think, I think also, uh, we have to kind of remember that we had 5 films, or we had 4 films. Yeah, it was sorry, Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2. We had 5 movies that established
Everyone.
every single person that
Hmm.
you see line up at the end of the movie at that the third act in the Avengers, standing on that bridge in New York, fighting pose in a circle. We had
Hmm.
5 movies that established every single one of those people, right? Because, obviously, yes, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Captain America all have their own movies. The only other two being Black Widow and excuse me, Black Widow and Hawkeye. And Black Widow turns up in Iron Man 2. And
Hmm.
even though it's a fleeting, tiny little cameo, Hawkeye turns up in Thor,
True.
right?
Hmm.
So you've got all 5 of these people who you have seen in something else prior to that moment when they're all on the bridge ready to rock and roll,
Hmm.
right? But you can't always do that in every single film, right? Which is why, we have Iron Man 3 and we have um Thor 2. They don't introduce anybody who is like any hero who is pivotal to what's happening next. Other than War Machine. War Machine is introduced, but technically War Machine is introduced in Iron Man 1, so that
Yeah.
doesn't count,
Technically, we knew
right?
of the character. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's when you look at it, we have this whole movie which doesn't we have this whole series of movies that doesn't establish or introduce you to any other new Avengers,
Hmm.
really and truly. And then we here come along to Age of Ultron. So it's like, well, we haven't really introduced anybody. I can imagine Marvel were like, we haven't really introduced anybody, so we need to throw people in. So they do. They throw in the twins. They throw in Scarlet Witch. They throw in Quicksilver. They throw in Vision, right? And I was like, well, all 3 of these people are really important, and it's really good that they're in.
Hmm.
You know,
And with
um,
Vision, a good way to do something different with the Stones.
yeah, absolutely, right? Because yeah, for those who've never read a comic book, Vision does not have the Mind Stone in his forehead. That
No.
is that is MCU official and official.
Hmm.
Um, so introducing certain characters like that, I was like, it's fine because you know what? The way comic books work, sometimes you just pop a character in there, and then what happens is by you introducing this person in this one particular film, even if it's like a fleeting moment, the comic book fans who are sitting there watching the film and they're going to be salivating, rubbing their hands,
Yeah.
like,
I done it
I
last night.
can't
I was
wait for this.
rewatching Dark Knight and obviously with
Mhm.
Two-Face getting introduced, obviously
Yeah,
going from the mayor to and it was only what the last half an hour he was in the movie, but you're like,
yeah,
that's a little nod to comic book fans. He's in the movie, he's got that, they kill him off. But it's good that they've done that because it was a little nod to the comic book fans.
yeah,
With this movie though, Neil, we were talking about it before we started
yeah.
recording. Joss Whedon really, really wanted while we're talking about introducing
Mhm.
characters, to get Captain Marvel and Spider-Man in this movie. This was the
Yeah.
movie where they were going to get introduced, and obviously they had to pivot
Mhm.
due to naming rights and issues. And you were telling me before we started recording that's
Yeah.
mainly because of things like X-Men and things like and then the rights. So yeah, would it have been cool if we had actually seen Captain Marvel and Spider-Man in this movie?
I think it would have been cool, but I think it would have been cool to have it at the end of the movie we introduce Captain Marvel because the whole thing is the whole setup to that scene is Thor's going off into space.
Mm-hmm.
Tony is technically like kind of reeling it back because he's
Yeah.
talking about going off with Pepper, right?
Yep.
So Tony's kind of stepping away and Thor's kind of stepping away. So you're going to need people.
Hulk's gone into hiding.
Yeah, Hulk's disappeared. He's gone off, right? So now you're a couple of Avengers down. You're for football terms, your starting lineup. You've lost three of your starters. You need to replace them. Every team needs to evolve and bring
Well,
in new
no, as a
players.
Tottenham fan, mate, we just win every game. That's what we do. I only played 2 games, sorry.
Right. Well, it's like, you look at it like that, and I think the nature of the way Avengers is
Hmm.
introducing them, just saying like, you know what? Oh, here's this person. I think it's a great way to do things because for non-comic book fans, they start salivating like, who the hell was that? Oh, they filmed the original test footage ending of Age of Ultron. Instead of it being Scarlet Witch who flies down and then lands and it's like, boom, she's ready.
Hmm.
It was Captain Marvel. It was Captain
Wow.
Marvel who flies down and she's ready. And um, that simple thing of they pivoted, they had to change that, right? Now, part of that change was the fact that they said, you know what, we want to introduce this character in our own movie. We don't want to introduce her
Hmm.
just willy-nilly as a little cameo at the end. And I thought, okay, fair, I understand that. The thing with the rights issues, obviously, yes, everybody knows about the rights issues that Sony owns Spider-Man. So in order for Marvel to use Spider-Man, they need to get, permission and they need to work out some kind of deal. So that prevented Spider-Man. What it was though was it's part of the reason that Quicksilver dies in Age of
Ultron.
Ultron, right? He dies in Age of Ultron because of the simple fact that Marvel had access to the characters of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, but 20th Century Fox, when they were still making their X-Men movies, also had access to those characters because 20th Century Fox had access to all of the characters who are mutants. So anyone who falls in lines with X-Men and they're mutants. Marvel had access to all of the characters who are Avengers.
Hmm.
Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are both mutants and Avengers. So both studios had access to it. Days of Future Past was in production at the same time as Age of Ultron. So it came a point where when both studios are making movies that involve both characters, then it was like, oh, well, who's going to do what with these characters? Because, the last thing that any film studio wants is a rival film studio having
Hmm.
access to the same character, putting that same character out. The reason they don't want this is simply because they don't want to be the person who has the weaker version of that character. And anyone who's seen Days of Future Past knows that there is that fantastic moment when Quicksilver puts on the headphones and he's running around and he's like moving all the guards' guns and he's doing all of this stuff. Age of Ultron doesn't have that. So it was just easy for them. Oh, we're going to put him in. Oh, you know what? We're going to kill him.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about X-Men. The WhatsApp group will come for me.
Uh-huh. Yes, they will.
You'll come. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, they will. Let's not go.
Yeah.
Didn't it's been a while since in One Division, didn't the
Yes.
twin come back? I
Yes, he
might
did.
think knew
So,
it. Do you know what? Do you know when you're thinking shit? Because you know when you
mhm.
watch so much.
Yep.
I was watching obviously Age of Ultron this morning, pointing over there like everyone can see my telly. And I was thinking, I'm sure. So what was the issues with the rights when they brought him back for Wonder?
So what happened was Disney, who own Marvel,
It's like an oracle, this guy. I
purchased,
tell you, he's like
yeah,
an oracle.
Disney, who own Marvel, purchased 20th Century Fox, and they own everything to do with their back catalog,
Mm,
including the X-Men franchise. So what they did was they started to incorporate and include and put things around. And one of the first aspects of that was by including the actor who plays Quicksilver in the 20th Century Fox films, I believe his name is Evan Peters,
hmm.
having him cameo in WandaVision as Quicksilver, as
Quicksilver.
Pietro, right?
Hmm.
So then it now links the 20th Century Fox universe and the
To what we
MCU
know.
universe, right?
Mm,
It now merges them because you're like, oh, well, I know this person. This person played that person in this film, and
hmm.
now they're playing the same character but in this version of events. So it all kind of worked out and then they did what they did with it, and some people liked it and some people didn't. but it was just a nice visual. It's a nice visual cue to say, oh well, things are coming together.
Because as Aaron Johnson plays Pietro
Yes,
in
Aaron
Ultron,
Taylor Johnson.
he was very, very close to being Spider-Man before Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man.
Yes.
Very close. I was again, we don't just hit record here on Completed It. We do our research. Yeah, he was very close to playing Spider-Man. So, mate, so when you actually delve into all these things, like say you've
Mhm.
got me the great book and the Marvel book that I'm reading
Yeah.
or read now. There's so many interesting things where you're thinking, fucking hell, this nearly happened or that nearly happened, and yeah, really, really good. Let's kind of a lot of people are comparing the end scene to this to Marvel trying to recreate the Battle of New York. It's one of the reviews I read this morning. I was thinking, really,
Mhm.
there's a whole village lifting up in the air.
Yeah.
What do you want them to do? I thought the ending of the movie was really good, the way they done it. And like you said, the Avengers kind of going off the separate ways, and then we get bam. This is where we properly see Thanos
Mhm.
um, puts on the Infinity Gauntlet and basically
Yep.
says, "I'm gonna do this shit myself." What
Yes.
did you think when you first saw the end credit scenes? I remember thinking, "Here we go at last," because we, like you said at the start, we all thought we were probably going to get Thanos in this movie.
Yeah.
We kind of knew building up to the movie that we weren't because the Age of Ultron, the trailers that we'd saw, and everyone's like,
Mhm.
wow. And a lot of people were thinking, how the fuck are they actually getting Thanos? What's going on with Thanos? And then everyone who's anyone must have known. Come the end credit scene, because the end credit scene was quick. That was it. It was the only one in this
Yeah.
movie.
It's him.
It
He
was
walks
him.
up,
It
puts
walks
the
up
glove on.
and says he'll do it himself. Were you like, yep, we're away to the races now? Because dude, I can't. We knew obviously back then the next movie is Ant-Man,
Yeah.
and the next Avengers quote unquote kind of movie,
Mhm.
Civil War.
Well, no, because at the time, I believe if I remember correctly, I think I'm remembering correctly, when Age of Ultron was released.
Was Civil War meant to be after it?
Yes, no, so we knew Civil War was coming, but when Age of Ultron was so around the time Age of basically so Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con is
Mm.
like the WrestleMania of
Yeah, it's
like
where they
nerd
announce
of
everything basically.
yeah, it's like they announce everything because the championship of nerderdom is like the mark it on your calendar. They Marvel were holding panels at San Diego Comic Con, and they held a panel for Age of Ultron. So when they held this panel was in July, and obviously Age of Ultron come out the following May. In between that July and that May, they did I think it was like a random Tuesday at in between those two periods of time. Marvel hosted a panel, and they just did it at their own like a little cinema somewhere in Los Angeles. They just rented it out, and that's when they unveiled the slate of the next coming films. And initially, what that slate said was the next Captain America film was going to be the Serpent Society,
hmm
which is interesting because Captain America 4, Brand New World, the one with Anthony Mackie as Captain America, that film has the Serpent Society in it,
Does indeed.
right? So that's an interesting little tidbit of information of how sometimes film studios they just kick the can a little further down the road.
Mm. You're like a Yoda for Marvel, you.
Right? So that was that. But also, when they unveiled it, they said that the next Avengers movie was going to be Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity
Infinity
War
War Part
Part
Two. I
2.
remember now. Yes.
Yeah, that's what they announced it as. Then they pulled the rug from underneath everyone and they said, actually, Captain America is not going to be the Serpent Society. Captain America is actually going to be Civil War. And that's when everybody absolutely lost their shit, myself included,
Mm. And the
right?
run of comics, by the way, for Civil War. I don't know if anyone ever read the run of comics that they
Yep.
released for Civil War. Absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I recommend anyone to go. I think you can buy it in like the Ultimate Edition now
Yeah,
because
you can buy like a trade paperback with
yeah, honestly,
hardback
I
edition and
cannot
everything.
recommend that run. You had to.
Mhm.
That was probably one of the most comic book runs where because I was buying them as they were coming out. You had to
Yeah,
get
so
that.
was I. I
You
still
had to
have
get
them.
that issue of that, and then you had to get that issue of that, and then that
Yep.
followed on with that, and you were like, "Fucking hell!" I remember going to the comic store every week, and he was like, "Hi, Andy," another. And I'm like, "Yeah, but I need the Iron Man one of that, but then I need the hot." And he was just like, "Yeah, that covers that." It was, but now just go and buy, read it because it's one of the
Yeah.
best comic books ever made. in my
It
opinion.
is.
That run,
Yeah.
it was a whole, wasn't kind of a reset, but it's like what everyone had wanted for ages in the
You know,
comic book world.
yeah. I think what it was the first time for me in my personal like journey of reading comics, it was the first time where right at the start, comic book fans were divided. And
Hmm.
that's what the actual film also did was
Hmm.
it divided people. Were you team Iron Man or were you team Captain America?
Yeah.
And the fact that the way the story progressed and you had it was here's Iron Man, who's notorious for being anti-authority.
Hmm.
Here's Captain America, who's the beacon of of ethical authority, is what I would call Captain America as, right? So you had these two guys who just and then now they're on opposite sides of it.
Mm.
Right. So, I mean, like we're running away with things, we're getting a bit too forward. But yes, like
It's all good.
taking it back to Age of Ultron, yeah, we knew Thanos was coming because by the time the film come out, we knew that Infinity War was going to be the next official Avengers movie, and in
Hmm.
between that, we would have a Civil War movie. So knowing, seeing the end credits and seeing Thanos put on the gauntlet, it's for me as a lifelong comic book fan, it's incredible because I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna do it. He's gonna come. He's gonna,
Mm. But then
he's
if
gonna,
you think how long you had to wait anyway, because you still
yeah,
had Civil War and it wasn't in that.
yeah, this is true.
So
But I think also it's a kind of thing of that this first run of MCU from Iron Man 1 to Avengers Endgame, right?
hmm.
Is a masterclass, and I don't care. I know there are many people who do not like comic book movies who think they're not.
Oh yes, I
There are
speak to them all the
people
time.
who love to say, I'll quote it, that this is not cinema. Well, as a film student, I will tell you right now, every film that you see that has a moving image is cinema.
Mm.
And I will also point out, sorry, rant coming.
Oh, here we go. This is it. Yeah, I was waiting. It took what, 22 minutes? Not
Yeah,
bad.
well, I'll add to that is
Okay.
this. The first movies that were ever shown as movies, the first time when cinema came out, and this is way, way back, I'm talking like almost horse and cart days, right? The first couple of movies they had was literally footage of a train coming towards a camera,
Hmm.
right? That's what it was. It was a train, and it was somebody put a camera on the tracks, and the train's coming towards the camera. And people who'd never seen films before freaked out. And as that train got closer, people got up and they ran out of the little tent that they were screening things in. And the reason they did this is because this was so amazing to them. Films was a theater attraction. So when highly respectable filmmakers turn around and say it's like a theme park ride, it's not cinema, as much as I respect their opinion, this is one time where I say they are wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. Yeah.
Right? There's one time where you're wrong because the first time people were making films, it was theater attractions.
Mm.
This is why when we got to like the 70s, 60s and the 70s, when they were making films, when you saw the trailers before films, even now, I think, believe it today, even today, 2025, when you're sitting in that cinema screen before the film starts and that little thing comes up and it says preview of coming attractions.
Hmm.
It doesn't say preview of coming films,
Yeah.
preview of coming items to the cinema. It says preview of coming attractions because a movie is a theater is an attraction. So anybody who tells you that comic book movies aren't cinema, they are incorrect. And I'm leaving it there.
There we go. There's
Now,
the Monday rant.
yes. Now, going back to that, right? Is as I said, the whole Infinity Saga is a masterclass in restraint. As much as they had to pivot here and there, it's a
Yeah.
masterclass in restraint.
Don't
Is
give
I'm
everything. Don't give them everything all at once.
yeah, but it's like I'm gonna show you at the end of this thing here.
Mm.
I'm gonna show you the end of it. This is what's coming. And you don't know about it, but you're interested and you want to know more.
And you don't know when you're going to get it.
And you don't know when you're gonna get it. And then everything builds up, builds up, builds up. And then right at that moment, when I'm gonna give it to you, I pull the rug from underneath you and I shatter your dreams of, oh, well, these lot are going to easily beat that person,
Mm.
right? Because you think about it, prior to Civil War, it was easy to believe that everybody who you knew to be an Avenger would just stand up, go against Thanos, and probably win.
Yeah.
But then how do they win when the two, with the captain and the vice captain,
Hating each other.
you know, they're not together. And not only are they not together, but everyone has separated and chosen sides.
Mm.
Right? And even before getting there, just that end credit scene at Age of Ultron of Thanos putting on the gauntlet, the comic book fan in me absolutely lost his shit.
Hmm.
And also, I think it was a masterclass because people who didn't know the comics and didn't know who Thanos really was, it was just the fact of this guy's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Mm.
And it created conversations outside of the film because now you have
Yeah.
people who are like, what does he mean he'll do it himself? What is
Yeah. Who is this
who
guy?
is this
What is
guy?
he? Yeah.
What's so special
How
about
the
this
fuck
gold
are the
glove?
Avengers gonna beat him? Yeah.
Yeah, it created conversation. And any really good film should create conversation. So
Mm.
the fact that it created conversation and it built up to what we know is coming, masterclass.
Yeah, I think that's what Marvel will do better. Even till this day, I know it's
Hmm.
not where it was. Like you always
Hmm.
say, the early Marvel was for
Yeah,
a lot of us Marvel, and it's kind of like we said a couple of months ago or a month ago, it's vintage now.
yeah,
Marvel, because now the where we are in 2025 can going back to where we were in 2012, it's you can't even compare them now. That's a whole different podcast and a whole
yeah.
argument about Marvel then and now. Sounds like WWE now, then now forever. But it is kind of that situation. But Neil, we've had a good conversation about Age of Ultron today, my friend.
Yes,
We don't usually do ratings on this movie, but overall for you, did this movie hit the mark and done what it had to do?
it did
Again,
everything it
watching it
needed.
back this morning, I think it did. Wasn't a huge fan of this when I watched it. I think because I was such like, oh, it's an Avengers movie. I'm gonna love this. And in the you kind of thought, oh, fucking Ultron, man. I want Thanos. But when I was watching it this morning, I was thinking, bravo, you actually done what you set out to do in this movie.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'll be honest, I will give this film two ratings. I will give it a rating as when I originally watched it, and I will give it a rating as where it stands now.
Hmm.
When I originally watched it, I would say that this film was maybe a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Right? It's fair. It wasn't as good as the first Avengers, but it was
Hmm.
good enough, and it delivered on so many different levels. In hindsight, knowing everything that happens after this film and all of the tiny little details that this film sets up, I'm gonna say this is like an 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I
I
think
think,
more. I'd agree with you there. That watching it back literally 2 hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, whenever I started watching it this
yeah.
morning. Yeah, I'd agree with you because it's set up so much more like, holy fuck,
Hmm.
and then again, the comic book fan of me was like, oh yes, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got the next few Marvelous Mondays. We've got some good stuff coming up, and then we get to Thor Ragnarok. But hey, look, it's that's going to be interesting.
That will
Neil,
be
it's
great.
been good talking some Marvelous Monday as
Hmm.
always, my friend. I think up next for us, dude, Ant-Man.
Yes, Ant-Man.
Initial thoughts. Let's a little preview, maybe.
I
What
think
now?
I think Ant-Man is a very interesting thing because it's the first MCU film that is actually a comedy.
Yeah, I'd
Like
agree with you.
every Marvel film has
Co-
comedic elements in it. It's got things that make you laugh and whatnot, especially, Tony Stark just ramblings,
hmm The
hilarious.
interaction between him, Thor, Cap, all that. There's
Yeah,
loads of
all of
good.
these things are
Mhm.
hilarious. But Ant-Man's the actual movie where it said, we're doing different genres. Here
Hmm.
is, it was like, as we say, Winter Soldier was the political thriller.
Hmm.
Ant-Man is the actual comedy.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. I might even get to watch it today. You never know. It's Bank Holiday Monday. Could get
Mm.
a few movies. Neil, pleasure as always, my man.
What's
We
that?
are going to be back late. So we are both now seen Nobody 2.
Yes.
We have got our review dropping of that. Really, I
Hmm.
won't give her too much away, but decent.
Mm.
Maybe, yeah. Interested to sit down and get your thoughts on that, my friend. I've
Yep.
also seen Materialist as well. Went and caught that last week.
Hmm.
Not my usual kind of movie, but the joys of having an Odeon Limitless, and I had a couple of
Yeah.
hours to kill while I was doing
Hmm.
nothing. So yeah, went and caught that. Not too bad, not too bad. We're gonna hopefully get down and sit down and review that. We've got a few things coming up. Other, you got any movies lined up that you're heading to see soon?
I will very, very, very much
What's
be
the new
trying.
West Eddington? Eddington? Is it Eddington?
Eddington. I haven't. I, you know what? I haven't
Yeah, I
heard
might
anything about it.
later tonight. I might try and swing by and get that watched. I've
Mm.
heard a lot of people in our WhatsApp group that have seen it are like, wow,
Mm.
8, 9 out of 10. I'm like, oh, okay.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah. So,
I will try and
what's
partake.
next lined up for you, my friend?
The Conjuring.
Oh, yes.
Conjuring Last Rites comes out on the 5th of September. That is
Still
an
not going to go and see together?
Hmm?
Still not going to go and see together the movie?
I
You're
actually do want
still
to watch it, and
okay.
I'm gonna see if I can muster up the time, then I will try and watch it this week.
Okay. We're going to try and squeeze in a hot take Friday this week sometime. We'll try and record that, me and Neil, but
Yeah.
I'm actually scared to do it this week because I'm going to start on 80s horror.
Mm.
Yeah.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, I think I might get killed. But anyone that wants to check out the show, as always, go onto YouTube, type in Completed It Podcast. That logo right behind me will come up. Like, subscribe, all that good jazz. But yeah, we're going to be back later this week. Myself, Neil, Sash, if he can draw himself away from creating the greatest computer games. He loves it.
Yes.
You know, when you see things like, what does your mate do? I'm like, that's something where he creates computer games. I was like, wow, cool job. I'm like, yes, Ash has got a really cool job. And
Yeah.
but yeah, he'll be back with us. Jonathan might be back as well later in the week. I know he went to AEW last night and watched
Oh
it.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
he watched.
I'm sorry I couldn't do it.
Yeah. No, not for me. Not for me. WWE all day long. But thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back later this week. But till next time, everybody, stay safe.
Feeling overwhelmed by the challenges of daily life? Struggling with anxiety, stress, depression, phobias, fears, or just trying to get yourself back again? Discover the transformative power of focused solution hypnotherapy and counseling. Through guided hypnotherapy, relaxation trance allows your subconscious mind to access your inner resources and strengths you didn't know you had. Book your free consultation today and let's start your journey together. For more information, please email Sharon at scm-therapy.me